them guys, and then they're like, oh, next year's my year. I'll kill you all.
Well, luckily, Slacks, we don't have to suffer any longer because Game 1 is ready.
Can we delay the draft?
All right.
Psych. No draft.
Good thing we saved things to talk about.
The crowd has gone wild now that we've taken Slacks off camera. It's amazing, the effect that he has.
Oh, no.
Okay. So the question I think that we were probably wondering, at least in terms of the Naga Siren, and then maybe some of those position 4 heroes we saw also being banned out up against EHOME, could be something that would be able to contest those Ancients that we know NP tend to rely on quite a bit throughout that early to mid-game phase, but instead, NP, they have taken out the Nyx, which I guess we can consider a possible 4, right? We saw that used for some pretty heavy vision.
Yeah,
exactly. But then it's going to be the Rubik instead.
Wasn't feeling amazing about their 4 position Nyx, but I mean, just the vision control that it provides is so dangerous.
No Naga banned out. I don't think anyone's gonna give MP Naga anymore. Maybe Wings if they do play and they're feeling it, like, we'll beat it. But I don't think EHOME will give it to them. Yeah, it is. I know, and everyone knows it's Owie.
Couple of
winner.
big heroes.
Versatility too.
Yeah, a couple of big heroes left in the pool here. EHOME thinking about this, they ban out the Drow Ranger, so now Wisp, Bat Rider, Warlock, OD, all making it through. It will be the first pick Warlock.
Crazy how Warlock has surpassed Drow and IO.
And Bat Rider.
Truly. I mean, it's just such a perfect opening, really.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you any lacking.
You know he's gonna support, but it doesn't lack anything as a support hero, except maybe mobility early, and that's it.
I think it just works so well with everyone, too. I mean, it gives nothing away about your draft. Literally, Warlock can work at anything. He's got a big-ass stun that pierces BKB, heals, and damage.
And he's got a beard.
And a beard!
Oh, right away.
Oh, wow.
Bat Rider, Pugna. They are not messing around.
You guys told me that you can't pick Pugna early. He's not an early pick.
He's counterable for sure.
So how do you counter a Pugna?
Purge?
Another Pugna.
What?
I think he is difficult to punish, to be honest. Like, you're trying to deal with that Netherworld we saw, despite the fact I had that last pick, just the position 1. Even with the Slark, still not able to quite get in there.
I mean,
Nyx is really good.
I think before this tournament in particular, I probably would have said, well, late game strats counter Pugna. You know, your Alchemist, those kind of heroes that have late game security. But we've talked about it a lot. Oh my God, Omni Knight, second pick.
That's how you counter Pugna. If someone tries to drain your homie, you put a nice repel on it. It's quick, it's easy, and it's beautiful. Now, even with a shorter cast animation as well, they can do it super quick.
I think it used to be, how do you counter the Nether Ward? We've seen that it hasn't really been that big of a problem. It's now been the life drain late game, and Omni Knight is decent versus that, but I still think the Ward does a lot early mid game, and Omni Knight can get decently torn apart by it.
Yeah, it's quite strong. Stuns are really good, just gap close, Pugna, physical damage. A mix between those two things, it's going to force them into some crappy itemization. But with Bat Rider on their team, they should be able to start the initiation.
Yep.
It's honestly kind of okay opening. I mean, Pugna has been buffed for a very, very long time.
I like him against the Warlock too, just because you can punish that ultimate from the Warlock, like, in terms of like the return time for a Pugna to actually push down objectives, very low. You just get up and start nether blasting.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Now lately we've seen a lot of games where Omni Knight will get picked, and people don't necessarily go for guys that build Diffusal blades. Some people have been starting to get around that, maybe with the Diffusal nerf, something like that, but this game, I feel like you're in a lot of trouble if you don't get defeated. If Omni Knight is able to get off the repel during the Pugna and the Bat Rider is dragging somebody off, I mean, you're not going to get anything on that.
Yeah.
So this is definitely one where we're going to probably see a natural Diffusal Blade builder coming out from EHOME.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I think very likely. Spirit Breaker, OD, third and fourth bans for EHOME, Alchemist, the third taken out by NP.
I wonder if NP is going to play an EHOME strat, which is, I mean, they already have 2 heal heroes. Grab somebody that's tanky that can siege high ground. They could grab something like Dragonite.
Or their
or Death Prophet or something. Or Razor, yeah. Something that can just go high ground.
There he is. SPG, 83 Silverman.
0 deaths.
The Dream support score there, 0-0-16.
That's actually insane, especially because they were against a Spirit Breaker, which is crazy. He didn't die even once early game.
Did seem like, though, they lacked a little bit of vision to deal with the tree on that game, to be fair.
Yep. Lacked a lot, and that was a big problem with why EG lost. But now SPG, maybe he was inside their heads after coaching them.
Yep. And a fourth ban on Anti-Mage. Have not seen that so much.
Hell yeah, dude! You can't have either the Alchemist just because EHOME is so prolific with the hero, and then Anti-Mage just tears up this team. In the late game, Omni's always going to be low on mana, Warlock's always going to be a jump-onable, and you can blow up an entire team late game with that pool. Get rid of that Anti-Mage and you'll have a much nicer time if it goes late.
Yeah.
Jump-onable.
Jump-onable? What would you have said? Expand my vocabulary.
Vulnerable?
Vulnerable? That's how I feel every time I'm on a panel with you. How's that make you feel?
Makes me want to embrace you.
Go ahead.
I'm so glad the shot's not up right now.
The cameras are off.
Oh
And my body is ready.
EHOME with a lot of options here.
Yeah, they're taking quite a bit of time here.
Rightfully so. I mean, you've got to think about where NP could want to go, and they move into the bounty hunter.
What are these fools doing? Repel, great way to get off track. Instantly,
No.
easily.
Yeah,
oh wait, the
but you can-
cooldown, oh shit, oh no!
Yeah, and you can actually track on Repel, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Track
Yeah.
through it, yeah, so Repel will take it off, but you can just instantly track
That's-
through the
And
Repel. again.
remember, Sykes, like you're talking about Repel's amazing against
10
Pugna, it's amazing
seconds
against Bounty Hunter, but when you have all of these spells that you want to repel, you only got one repel.
Hey, Repel's
5
job is to
seconds
get you to the
remaining.
mid-game where your carries can get a BKB. That's all it is. Making sure that your guys don't get exploded, and then also making sure that BKB is extended. However, with the increased cooldown, thanks to Ice Frog, it's not that good against track anymore.
I also really like track with bounty or with Batrider, just because if you're doing a slow siege, get vision on enemy heroes, and then hopefully you'll be able to spot the one that you want to initiate on.
Yeah.
Batrider never upset with a little extra movement speed as well.
They've now also gotten that position 4 as well. Because we've seen how important the vision is for EHOME. Like the games where they were successful, it was where they had someone who was kind of like lurking around, scouting those movements, and really helping them position themselves around the map. Plus, he can help mess a little bit with those stacks there. Not quite as good as the Riki in terms of that warding and
I
whatnot
think the
in the
biggest
game. But
thing, a lot of the other teams, they play Omni Knight in the off-lane role. Isn't NP usually play as support? When I've seen him play it, I think I've seen MSS
I've seen
play it, but
MSS play it, but I think it was elimination.
I've seen
mode.
more, yeah. I've seen SVG or 1437 actually play Omni Knight more than MSS, which now is interesting, because that is not the best support to a Warlock Omni Knight.
It's the fails of the week special, baby!
They can do Omni 1v1 versus that though,
They can, yeah.
and then do an aggro try, especially against Bounty Hunter on EHOME. Does that give you an advantage? Depends on what their mid is.
Oh.
If it's Centaur, Bounty's not going to roam against that. I guess against Pugna, it's not something you'd want to match up against.
I
But
do really like the Centaur pick here, though. We talked about how Pugna is so positioning reliant. We praised EHOME for their positioning. What better
5
hero to
seconds
counter that than
remaining.
Centaur? Stampede your way in to get in that perfect position to shut down the Pugna.
Hell yeah, you grab a scepter, the whole entire team stampedes their way in. Let's
Yeah.
see you escape that, Pugner.
it really
Actually-
has been that that core wall in between the enemy team and Pugna too. So they're looking to bust right through it.
It's an interesting idea. We'll see if it works, but
These guys also have a lot of beef too. I mean, they're gonna have a ton of health.
Yeah.
This Warlock, pretty beefy. Centaur, super.
yeah, think about Centaur with Repel early game. That is pretty scary.
that's
not,
a good point.
Not a hero that buys BKB very often.
And then
so.
you get free double edge on your opponent. I think they're going to do Centaur Tri-Lane. I've seen them do this before with AUI. Most likely Warlock Centaur, they can put Omni Knight against the bat if they want, or they can put him in the Tri-Lane, just because of Repel and Pure.
Does feel better top, I would say, in terms of, or better in the 1v1, I think, for the Omni, unless it, ends up changing something in the draft here that makes
Yeah,
that
I
better.
sort of agree, because then you'd have to get within range to even cast Repel double edges, and you'd have to get some levels. I think they're better off just grabbing an initiating ranged hero for NP's second pick, like Witch Doctor, or I don't know if they want Venge. They
Venge
need
sounds
something that
kind of
can-
solid just because of the bat, though.
That's true.
There is some added
That'd be
value
really
there.
good.
Phoenix.
Wow.
That's a burn!
I was not expecting
My.
Phoenix.
I don't think anyone was.
Okay, so one really cool thing about Phoenix here is that Sunray does damage based on a percentage of their HP, does it not?
Yep.
It
And
does.
Centaur is
Yeah.
going to buy a lot, and it does pure
Here,
damage,
so it goes through
Yep.
Repel.
which is everything that it doesn't go through
Does it
Repel,
go? It doesn't?
but
I thought they
it's,
changed it.
10 seconds
I
remaining.
don't think it does.
You're right.
But
No.
if Centaur has Hood and Vanguard,
Yeah.
then it will cut right through his defenses.
5
So
seconds remaining.
maybe he'll get like a Blade Mail or something. That would actually be pretty funny.
It's a cool pick, but doesn't Phoenix have quite a few issues right now? I mean, there's a reason this hero went from meta pick to pretty much irrelevant.
He's
We
really
haven't even
replayed.
seen Phoenix played in elimination mode.
I mean, but let's be real. We also haven't seen Pugna. Pugna and Phoenix still kind of work well together. You can decrep one of their main hitters that's going on that Phoenix egg. Make sure that he gets that added bonus damage from the stun.
I mean, that's cute. That
It's
is
cute.
It's a cool mechanic, but I don't know that. I mean, is that a game-winning mechanic right there?
It could be. I mean, in that late game, that Phoenix BKB piercing stun, he's typically you can only put one guy on that to kind
10
of get that
seconds
down. I mean,
remaining.
I like
could see it.
I like the Phoenix in combination with things like the Bat Rider as well as the Pugna and the Bounty Hunter, because right now they have a lot of stuff that they're going to slap on their opponents that you need to dispel, and they only have Omni. They don't have any really good Manta builders, like the Centaur thing, obviously, with the nerf and the change. How that doesn't work anymore doesn't make it quite as good. They don't have an Oracle or something to purge off anybody, so it's just Omni Knight who has to deal with Fire Spirits, Track, Decrep, as well as Sticky Napalm. They are lacking an AoE thing to go
10
over top of the
seconds
egg, which I would like to see somehow here, and I don't really want to see that core Slider, though.
Well, so now that it's
5
Disruptor picked up,
seconds
it's looking like AUI Centaur, so MSS Omni Knight
Yep,
very
for
likely
sure.
now.
These guys are actually both
Reserve time.
with that Disruptor pick.
Why?
I mean, if he builds it correctly, he can do such a huge amount of damage, and look at how squishy every single one of their heroes is.
That's true.
If he puts in a lot of points inside that ball lightning, He can just...
God, don't talk about this strategy.
No, wait. You mean his Q?
No, his ball of lightning, not his Q. It's called Thunder Strike in the game. It's not thunder. It's a ball of lightning.
Flex.
What?
You don't max that skill. It's terrible.
You
It's
max
actually
it.
it's the
In
worst
this game,
scale. Isn't it
you max
25
it.
damage?
Every
level?
The first skill point gives you like
It's good.
160
It's
or something.
insane, Yeah. And then
But
after
every
that's terrible,
every
yeah.
additional point does almost.
It's an amazing level 1 spell.
In
It's like a
this
regular skill out there.
game, you max.
No,
Look
you
at how
don't. You
weak.
get glimpse and you get kills on heroes like Bounty Hunter and Batrider and Phoenix.
Phoenix, yeah.
I do like the Medusa ban, though. That is a classic combo with the Phoenix. They needed somebody tanky and
Yeah.
survivable. The Stone Gaze with Egg.
Hey, I'm just telling.
I think that actually is the worst scaling skill in the game. One of them.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Juggernaut
Yep.
for NP.
EHOME has really good team fight heroes. That's why the Phoenix was in some ways good. I like Sunray versus the Centaur, and they've got good team fight, but that's what they have to beat MP with. But now that they have a Warlock, a Disruptor, and a Juggernaut, I feel like they have pretty good egg solutions.
Yeah.
Repel especially is going to put one hero. If you just repel Juggernaut in the fight, and he gets a couple attack speed items, egg dies every time.
And they
Unless
have
it's really plays well.
insane healing now. Warlock, Omni Knight, and Juggernaut. I mean, sure, Phoenix will cut
Sustainability.
through some of that Centaur, but I think they can sustain through it semi-easily here.
Yeah, it'll upset Netherward damage as well.
They're going to
So,
need one hell of a gotcha pick
final
here on
pick.
EHOME.
Spend perhaps.
Morphling. All right, the Slark Classic.
Yeah, they've been doing that. They just get one super hard carry with the Pugna.
Yep. Okay, so looking for some predictions here, gang. How are we feeling?
I think the Morphling's pretty good. It'll be a good Centaur solution, but is it going to be good against the Tri-Lane? I'm not sure. And they have some solutions. They've got Disruptor. Centaur can disable to set that up.
All right,
don't
Trent,
know.
we'll start with you. Call it. What are you taking?
I feel more confident in MP's draft only because it looks more like things that we've seen before. But again, EHOME have proved that there are some different heroes they play, and they do work out. Maybe not that Huskar one, but the Pugna has been looking pretty good. So I am going to go with NP.
I'm gonna go with NP as well. I think this is a strat they've ran before. I think they're gonna get more value out of their Tri-Lane as well.
I want NP to win, but I just feel EHOME we haven't seen their strategy of the Pugna plus one hard carry lose. They've lost with other strats, but not that. I'm going to go with EHOME.
Okay. I have faith in the Centaur. I think it's going to be the pick that makes it happen for NP.
I believe NP is going to win. However, I'm going to go with EHOME as well because they've surprised us so many times with that Pugna combo. There you go.
E-home for you. Thank you
E-home
very
for
much,
me.
Slacks. And with that, we will hand it over to our casting duo once again, Annie and Cap, for this best of 3.
Thank you very much, Sayori. We are now into the lower bracket finals. Winner of this best of 3, moving on into the grand finals in the Bell Center. Very excited for this. I'm Android, being joined by Cap, and let's head into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. We head straight into this game where we're going to see both of these teams try and make some sort of aggressive move into the opposing team's jungle by ban smoke out from NP, while EHOME don't blow smoke themselves. They're just kind of chilling out and trying to take control of this top rune area. The interesting thing about these two lineups is that EHOME are running a Phoenix. That was definitely the big question mark of the draft as a whole. Phoenix, what's a hero that draws attention away from the Pugna thanks to the egg. It's got percentage-based damage, which is quite good against some of these tanker heroes like the Centaur. The thing is, EHOME have run a strategy like this before, Phoenix and Pugna. It's been a while. I think it was a game, probably in like DPL or one of those online leagues. But they ran a strategy like this. But the thing was, they had lots of really good AoE controlling abilities. I know they had a Sand King. I'm not sure what else they had to back that up, but I'm sure there was at least another hero to be able to reliably stun and create space for both the Pugna as well as the Phoenix Egg to go off. Here, EHOME don't really have that much. Bounty Hunter is not a disruptive hero. He's not going to be able to stop people from going on that egg. The Morphling, not really. Maybe if you have a high amount of strength, or maybe later on you have the Ethereal Blade. Maybe you can make someone ethereal and they can't actually right-click the egg. But again, not really. And so all you've got left is this controlling hero of the Batrider. Doesn't really feel too sound. I think NP will be able to run over EHOME with their very team fight focus, a little bit of sustain between the Omni, Warlock, and then the Centaur, who I'm sure is going to be grabbing a pipe in this game. This is a practice strategy from NP, and I think they have the advantage due to the draft.
Yeah, I really like what NP are picking up here. The Phoenix was picked up fairly early on, so NP got the opportunity to look back, and they grabbed the Juggernaut, not only for the great scaling into the late game, but the magic immunity. Just, you know, you can pick it up at, you know, level 2, level 3, and it should be pretty easy to go against what EHOME are throwing at you.
Yeah, he doesn't really care about the fact that Pugna can decrepify you or anything like that. He doesn't have to worry about most stuns. He doesn't have to worry about fire spirits. Like, he just goes, spins, and then goes straight for the egg, and, you know, while he's spinning, he'll also right-click that egg. He's got really fast attack speed, so I think the Juggernaut was a really suitable hero to be able to deal with that. And they'll also have another hero that's going to be repelled that can also be able to deal with the few stuns that EHOME have to offer, right? So if you go ahead and lasso up the Juggernaut who's spinning and trying to go for the egg, then who's going to stop the repelled up Centaur or somebody, you know, who's going to run at it. So I think they're going to have a tough time getting this combination together, but EHOME have shown some exemplary team fight capabilities. That is the reason that they are one of the top 3 teams in this tournament, and the reason that they were up there in the upper bracket against Wings and put on a really good showing against those TI winners.
Well, Lanham gets low from that double edge, but he's not scared. He knows he's in Viz. He knows Centaur doesn't have vision right there, so going to be at least soaking lane for a little bit. Probably going to go buy out, deny to neutrals, and they'll start over fresh.
Yeah, looks like from this laning phase situation, NP is getting a pretty good lead to begin with. Juggernaut is matching up pretty well against the Morphling to start things off. They've got this Centaur free farming at the top lane, just like the Pugna is at bottom. But it seems like Omni-Knight's going to be able to get a bit more out of his lane than EHOME will, right? Like, EHOME can go ahead and put the Bounty Hunter up there and have him in Viz, but then you're lacking the Bounty Hunter's, like, presence in the laning phase.
Oh, Lanham could be in trouble here. Is going to get dusted up. Is there any real
back.
catch? They got the glimpse. They can follow it up with a stomp. They've got double edge as well. The damage is there, and First Blood will go to SVG. That Disruptor starting out with a nice chunk of gold.
Yeah, great combination. SVG can pick up some early boots if he wants to, get some more counter vision as well. That's the dangerous part of an Invis hero. If you give away that early kill, all of a sudden you're rewarding the supports for getting the counter vision that they have picked up, and it gives them more gold to work with in the future, just kind of creating this vicious cycle of feeding more counter vision to the enemy team.
Yeah, I do like EHOME's draft in the sense that, you know, Morphling takes time to come online. In the hands of Sylar, it's going to be phenomenal towards that later game, and they have the Bounty Hunter there with the track to accelerate that gold growth. So EHOME, they're kind of setting up for a pretty difficult early game, maybe somewhat of a rough mid game, but if they actually get the Morphling snowballing with the track gold on top of that, can EHOME just pick up such a net worth advantage that NP can't deal with it?
Well, that's going to be up to Old 11. He's going to be the person to really set Sylar up for these occasional pickoffs with the track and, you know, some shuriken burst damage and that sort of thing. It's all up to Old 11. He needs that good progression into his Blink Dagger, and that's why they're trying to give him this free jungle sort of situation, right? They know NP can invade jungle. They don't have the heroes to be able to do so. So they go ahead and put the Bounty Hunter up there in that top lane. He's going to soak and occasionally rotate mid, it looks like, but for the most part, he's just going to be trying to take over that off lane position, and Old 11's going to get total free farm in the jungle with an Iron Talon, get that fast Blink Dagger, and start the snowball running for EHOME. I say snowball, but I guess you can't really call it. It's more like just trying to slow down NP here and there and get the occasional track kill into the coffers of EHOME.
So EHOME opting to run the Bounty Hunter in a solo off position, really not trying to, you know, contest the farm of anyone on NP, but just getting some really nice levels. Is that worthwhile? Do they need to exert pressure onto the Centaur Disruptor, or is this an acceptable situation for EHOME?
I think it's absolutely acceptable, for first of all, because the Bat Rider isn't using the off lane. Second of all, because you can't really do too much early on.
Indecision coming in. Do they have the vision? There's the dust. Double Edge comes in. A couple more right clicks. Will secure Centaur Warrunner. Another kill in this top lane.
Yeah, they're really taking advantage of this Bounty Hunter being in the top lane. I think he's got to leave lane now, especially since he's fed a couple kills to the Disruptor. That early experience is getting into those higher levels of Glimpse, or at least will be soon. So he can't really stick around anymore. The catch from the Disruptor is going to be too much for him to handle. But now he has to try and make those minimal levels that he's picked up in the offlane worth it somehow. And then you look at the lanes, and you see why Bounty Hunter hasn't really been trying to do too much in the beginning of the game. How's he really put pressure on a Juggernaut with a Warlock behind him? How's he going to be able to ensure an Omni-Knight kill when he can just repel and purify?
Well, Flame Break here. Looks like the Medic will get at least some freedom here.
So close.
He
There
is
it
going to end
is.
up burning down, so Bat Rider rotates into the lane and immediately makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, and so that's what I was going to lead up to, right? Lanham has no other options than really trying to get the support up there at the top lane. MSS, ooh, dropped quite low there.
Oh, he's all good.
He does have another purification coming up, so he can try and risk it, or he could just go ahead and purify and drag the creep wave back as best as possible. He's got a lot of magic wand charges, so a little bit more time in lane. He's also level 6, so as expected, his off-lane position is doing a bit better, especially when it comes to experience. We're trying to set up a gank on AUI, though, and this is going to be difficult. They know his ultimate is off cooldown, so that's the only way they can get this kill.
They bring in the Phoenix as well. The Stomp connects us to the Phoenix Sunrise, trying to do some work. There will be a rotation in, it looks like, Disruptor, trying to come keep everyone alive.
So
there is going to be a glimpse back burning, but he is going to be able to get off his salve. Now they're trying to turn things here. Old Lanham will be taking some tower shots, but not going to be going down. But the important thing is the Phoenix rotates. There were spells expended. EHOME weren't able to find anything for their efforts.
Yeah, nice stomp out there from AUI. Good reaction. He managed to hit the Bat Rider, and that obviously keeps the Bat Rider from just barely getting over him with the Firefly. And those couple of sticky napalm stacks. Old Chicken challenging MSS. Purification goes off. And MSS is good once again, but it does force the Omni-Knight to burn through mana nice and early. Fortunately, he's got the Soul Ring for that efficiency. But there are, again, it's a problem with rotational heroes. NP do not have a whole lot of power when it comes to these supports. They're very harassive, laning-focused supports, and they'll get a lot more powerful once they get to level 6. But this awkward in-between time, level 4, level 5, weird times for Warlock and Disruptor. If other lanes are experiencing pressure, you can't really rotate and do a whole lot about that. That being said, I say that NP are actually going to try and make this work. It's notably going to be mostly Eternal Envy doing the heavy lifting here. He's got his level 6, and it's well known that Juggernaut as a mid laner is a very nice rotating hero. He can ensure some early kills, and it looks like we'll have one here.
Yeah, looks like he is able to get off the deep cut. There's going to be a TP out. They have enough damage. Oh, just barely. Juggernaut able to make that rotation worthwhile. I was just going to bring up, NP have let that Pugna sit back a little bit too much. He's getting a lot out of lane, second on the net worth chart, but slapping him down like that is a super effective way to keep him in control.
Yeah,
Lift back, they go in for the stun here onto the Phoenix. Look at him just cleave down. That's going to be a nice double edge there. AUI on the Centaur getting a ton of space and a huge advantage moving into the mid game.
Yeah, it really feels like EHOME are just letting the Centaur safe lane work too well. They can go ahead and let him free farm. That's not that big of a problem, but the danger is when you start actually trying to contest the lane and you're giving extra kills away to the Centaur, now they're going to give one more, it looks like. They don't have a stomp, but it looks like this will may be enough.
Well, they need a couple more clicks. Hey, the Disruptor with his last breath, able to take out the Bounty Hunter. AUI running for his life to return, is going to be chipping down the Morphling as well. So AUI feeling really, really comfortable in himself. Bounty Hunter is 0-4. His levels are not ideal. Still no track gold, but of course, once the Morphling comes online, I think that's when EHOME's draft is going to start to shine.
Yeah, but that's going to be a long time coming, as they won't seemingly have a whole lot of track kills to be able to rely on. Eternal Envy being burned up here. He doesn't have spin for another 3 seconds. He might, okay, maybe not. Lasso, and it looks like that is going to be enough damage. Very nicely played by EHOME, taking advantage of Jackie's spin usage and abusing that cooldown.
Yep, looks like Sylar making himself at home in his top lane, leaving the mid. Now they're trying to do it onto the Centaur, just trying to chip him down with some Nether Blast working on the tower as well. Meanwhile, MSS still getting a ton of space in the bottom. Of course, Omni-Knight, it's not like he needs oodles of farm to be impactful, but just the levels are so great, and the fact that NP haven't lost this bottom lane in any regard.
Yeah, EHOME, they're also giving even more space to the Omni-Knight now, because the Pugna is naturally going to rotate around. He's taken that tier 1 offlane tower. He needs to start putting suppression on the other towers. And they also, as a side note, need to be able to give experience to these supports. Lanham needs his level 6 sometime soon, and Garter definitely needs his level 6, as his Supernova is the other big, impactful ability.
Oh, they're glimpsing him back under his tier 1 tower. He could be in trouble. There is going to be a kinetic field blocking him down. He's not able to get away, and look at the Omni-Knight chipping in and able to help his team find a kill.
Looks like SVG hit that glimpse right as the Phoenix tried to dive out. That was real close. Like, the cooldown just went down, so I imagine he tried to dive at the last second there, got caught by
Envy trying to go for another kill. The Blade Fury, even without vision, able to finish him off. And look at that, a double damage through. They're trying to find a bat as well. There will be a stampede. So it looks like Envy just going to be running back, looking for some neutral farm. But meanwhile, down bottom, his tower chipping down. MSS and Disruptor are going to be able to put out enough damage, which is a scary thing here. Your Disruptor and Omni-Knight right clicks are doing enough to tear down your tier 1 at 10 minutes in. You have heroes like a Pugna that want to be aggressive, they want to be the pushes, but EHOME are getting corralled right now.
EHOME have definitely shown that the Pugna is not a hero it's a hero that can scale decently well into like 35 minutes plus. That being said, you still pick it up to try and take those early towers. And thanks to the fact that, in part, you have a Centaur farming safe lane, and also the fact that he's giving extra kills.
They want to come in. Can they find the glimpse? They are able to get it off. The Static Storm as well. They've got the Shadow Word. The damage over time is just absurd, and they kill off the Pugna. Sylar, he's able to TP in, but not in time to save his ally. Can the Morphling do it here? Because you're putting so many eggs in EHOME's basket. You gotta get the Morphling online as quick as possible, but it seems like NP, they're just getting too much here.
EHOME had two ways to be able to really make the track work for them. It's the lasso, and early game, it's the lasso pickoffs, and it's the team fight potential of the Supernova. And so far, we've seen a couple of lasso kills, and that's nice, and we'll see a lot more as he starts getting Blink Dagger, Force Staff, those sort of things. But the Supernova has only just now come online. I feel like with NP's positioning of the Centaur ultimate, like that's really hard to play Supernova around because NP could simply just like pop the Centaur ultimate and run away or run straight to the gate. I'm not sure how EHOME actually get their way back into this game because they're not going to get a whole lot of towers. The Pugman's not going to be able to achieve that because Centaur War Runner will be this like frontline hero that you have to fight through in order to get to these tier 1s, but he's a Centaur and he's got a Hood of Defiance. How do you actually output enough damage to bring that guy down?
Yeah, I mean, until the Morphling comes online, EHOME are so reliant on that magical damage, and Centaur doesn't really care. He's got armor, he's got HP, he's now got the Hood, so we'll see what's going to be done.
Yeah, they looks like they were trying to set up some sort of aggressive situation here, but looks like the aggressive vision laid down.
Oh, the blind stop. Can they get the vision here? Body blocks coming in. Looks like Lanham not going to be victim to that double edge, but again, Centaur keeping everyone on their toes here. I don't think EHOME were anticipating a Centaur making this much space for the lineup this early on.
Yeah, I think just giving a couple extra kills that were a bit unnecessary. Sylar is trying to do his best to pressure, but this game for the first 20 minutes isn't really on him. Like, he can do the occasional Morphling thing, he can try and max out his efficiency, or he can be there for the occasional team fight and maybe clean up a kill and be a part of a track something, but it's up to the rest of his allies to create the space for him, to create the timeline where he's able to get big and start assaulting NP and picking off their supports and taking down the Omni Knight with a shotgun combination or whatever. You know, like, they've got to give him time to be able to do things as a carry. Otherwise, they're just going to get run over by NP once they reach their full mid-game sustain, where we've got Pipe, we've got an Omni Knight heal, we've got Juggernaut healing ward. Like, there's all these sustain items that NP, they're well known for this strategy, right? They've run multiple, like, oh, we've got 2 pipes on the same team. Like, that very rarely happens, but NP are showing that it's well worth it in this kind of meta. You can go ahead and death ball up once you've got these sustained items, and the enemy team just cannot beat you in team fights, and you just chip away at all their objectives. Nice push.
Phoenix tries to get away. It will be futile as 4 NP heroes move towards the mid. It may end up losing their top tower for this, but with pressure coming in all elsewhere on the map in favor of NP, this is just looking really, really good.
Yeah, you're happy with this. You're going to get the tier 1 in exchange for your tier 1 safe lane. Tier 1 safe lane doesn't mean that much anyway, but tier 1 mid on both sides are really what helps control the jungle.
Old 11 wants to jump, but there's just no follow-up.
He's going to jump on.
Well, he's trying. He will go and he will find the dragon. There's going to be a glimpse away. So actually just bringing it farther away. Eternal NP going in. He's able to get off an Omni Slash. He's level 1, but not able to do a whole ton of damage. There's the static field, holding everyone in place. Lanham running for his life there, but the chaotic offering, the golem, just melt the bounty down. Now they're trying to focus down this egg. NP getting low, but there's the Guardian Angel. They do get the egg down. Now they can turn their attention to Old 11. The DGen aura slowing them down. They want to get the Magic Noodles, won't be able to do so. Morphling scooting back on through. Envy again, still very, very low, but like we talked about, the heals from his team keeping him alive. No one going down on NP, only the Morphling living through this for now. Still chased down by the Golem.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to go on the Juggernaut, and they even got a little bit of boost there. The glimpse didn't break the lasso, and actually made the jump go a little bit farther. They got the pull over the cliff. Like, that's almost a best case scenario for EHOME, and the team fight went dramatically against them. And I think, again, NP have a better draft. You can't fight them at this point in time, but you kind of have to, otherwise they're just going to take total control of the map. So you try and make that Supernova work, but you don't have the defensive capabilities to really protect it. They're always going to have a repelled unit. They're going to be able to have this fast attack speed hero and the Juggernaut be able to focus down the egg, and you don't have any real good AoE stunts to be able to stop it. Sticking napalm, a lasso, and maybe a decrepify. Those aren't really greatest tools to protect a Phoenix egg.
Yeah, I don't want to count EHOME out at all, because again, I've seen Slark come back from bigger disadvantages. He's an amazing core player, and on the Morphling, a hero that does naturally hit that absurd peak around 30 minutes, he could definitely carry his team on his back, especially with the track hold coming in, but EHOME are definitely playing at a disadvantage. Looking at the net worth, Centaur still hanging on at the top of the chart.
Yeah, they've got almost a 7,500 gold lead already for NP, and about a 4,000 experience lead too. So right, it's not just tower gold that they're up on, it's also the plenty of kills that they have over EHOME. And probably Roshan is going to be their next objective. We'll see. Like, EHOME are trying to do what's, I think, the right play here. They're trying to smoke. They're trying to actively fight. Like, I don't fault them for trying to fight mid, because they need to. It's just...
This is about to get bloody. It's like everyone rotating in. The smokes are going to start to pop. Old 11 knows something's up. There's pings coming out. There's NP. They're looking for blood. Meanwhile, Lanham just kind of scouting around. He's going to go ahead and TP back to his base. Does not want to deal with the wrath of NP right now.
There is a Vanguard and Pipe on AUI 2000. If he actually completes a Crimson Guard, how do you eat through these heroes?
I mean, he's just a full raid boss right now. He can go and double at the wave, barely feel it, and the rest of his team can start chipping down towers. Now, again, EHOME do have some really nice late scaling heroes. Is there a window for NP? Is there a point in time where they need to have taken a Rax? They need to have gotten a certain amount of kills or net worth?
I would say by 35 minutes they probably should have taken one Rax, but they don't really fall off super hard. It's just the Morphling. Like, the Morphling has a very clear timing where he gets rather strong. But the thing is, Juggernaut is not a bad carry necessarily against Morphling. He builds up, he can go ahead and go like a Manta Diffusal Blade combination, right? And then he's actually still effective versus Morphling. He's not an amazing carry, but he eats through Lincolns with his Omni Slash. He is able to get this mana burn. He outputs a lot of physical damage in a short period of time. Oh, nice jump.
Away from the bat. Now, Chaotic Offering, not going to catch him up, but they do have the Stampede. Can they get the Disruptor close enough to get off the cliff? They are able to do so, committing a second ultimate for him. They will find the bat. Was that too expensive for NP?
No, not necessarily, because I think they're right next to the Roshan pit, so they can just go ahead and do that, right? So it's somewhat worth using the Chaotic Offering. Level 11, I think, just got a little cheeky there. It's like, haha, I blinked out of your stuff, and then he turned around a little bit, like, was thinking he'd still be able to get away. They're really discounting the power of Disruptor in this game. Like, multiple times he got the Bounty Hunter in the laning phase. Now, like, in situations like that, he got the Phoenix as well as the Bat Rider, thinking they can rely on their mobility, but it rapidly turns against them with this Raptor. First Roshan's going to go down by 18 minutes. This gives them a really good window, right? Because they don't need to push high ground yet, but they can go ahead and guarantee that Roshan will be up by 28
They know something's going down here. Lanham going to be in some unfriendly territory. Can they get vision on him here? They've got the Thunderstrike. He's actually going to get repelled off.
Yeah, he repelled off the haste.
Yep. Now they're going to go in the stomp off the mark. Envy trying to see if he can go back in, but oh, there's the glimpse. They are going to be able to find this there. The Purify drops, and it looks like there's just not enough health for the Bounty Hunter to escape scot-free. NP are feeling amazing, and once again, Disruptor showing his strength. Even from the very first levels, he was always carrying dust. He was always ready with the glimpse, and he is absolutely one of the reasons NP are so far ahead right now.
Mojo storms out you, Sly Devil you, using the offensive capabilities of the repel. Now a Midas being picked up for the Warlock, and this is what I'm talking about, right? Like, they have a timing in some ways in that you want to be able to end the game before the Morphling gets big, but even then, right, even when he does get big, you still scale pretty well on NP. You're going to have this Warlock who can, with this Hand of Midas, go ahead and pick up Aghanim Scepter. You have a Hand of Midas on the Omni Knight and the SVG Disruptor, who he is also going to get an Aghanim Scepter. Very effective versus Morphling, because like you're not very good versus AoE silences in general. The Juggernaut, we've already talked about that one. And Centaur is like not really terrible late game either. You can go ahead and get an Aghanim Scepter, and that's really effective team fight potential as well. The dangerous thing, the hardest part of this game will probably be when EHOME are dealing with a push where Centaur Warrunner is super tanky. He's pushing down your tower, not just with his own right clicks, but also with return. There's a healing ward behind him, there's an Omni Knight behind him, and all those sort of things, and they have to make the initiation, right? And they have to somehow get by a hot peak, get past that Centaur with the Bat Rider, grab one of those heroes like the Disruptor, probably the best hero, maybe Omni Knight, but he could just get glimpsed, and there goes that lasso. He pulls one of those heroes in, they burst it down, and then the team fight ensues 4 versus 5. But that's like a very specific narrative, right, that I just described, where EHOME have a win condition when NP are ready to go high ground. again, don't want to count them out, but it is probably one of the tougher games that I've seen for EHOME. If EHOME actually make this comeback, it would be exceptionally impressive. Probably one of the bigger comebacks that I've seen Silent make.
He's definitely pulling his weight for his team right now. There is so much counting on this morph as the Phoenix and the Bounty Hunter feeling, ooh, Courier Snipe,
Nice.
A little bit unimpactful. How would the game be different if EHOME went for more traditional lane supports?
Well, I think if they could take this back, they would take up the Bounty Hunter, to be honest. We talked about how that hero is really good on EHOME.
Look at how he just tanking like it's nothing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm taking no damage, and your tower's taking return damage, so you have to do something. Like, you have to initiate into us, and we've got so much sustain, and pretty good counter initiation, and so many ways to counter you. Make your move, EHOME, otherwise you're gonna lose your lane.
And this Omni Knight just being an absolute baller in there. It's going to be a blink forward. AUI dropping out the stomp and the double edge, but back to the racks here. They're focused on structures. Sylar, meanwhile, trying to make some space. Will be able to find the tier 2 mid, but at the cost of a rack, is that really a decent trade? NP, they're showing no signs of backing off. In fact, they're trying to reinitiate. Stomp off the mark from AUI. There will be a drag back. They get the Centaur, but the Glimpse to try to keep the rest of the team closed. Eternal Envy is going to be ready to go in and initiate if necessary. He can put out a huge amount of damage, and there's really not much EHO can do to stop him at this point. Morphling, he's going to be going in, trying to get some tier 3 pressure of his own, and it looks like that will be enough for NP to retreat, try to get him back. The rack's exposed up top. Lincoln Sphere pops. They're not able to get it back. There we go. The Glimpse is going to be bringing him back up to the high ground. Static Storm as well, holding him in place. He gets to walk out of that kinetic field and go ahead, pop back to his replicate. Fatal Bond still doing some damage as well as Shadow Word, but Sylar's going to be just fine.
I think EHOME handled that impressively well. Like, they put themselves into this hole, but I think they did legitimately the best play they possibly could. I don't think you can fight that top lane. It's too much. Like, NP are too big. So what they did is they just stalled out. They goaded NP into trying to go into them. They just bought as much time for Sylar to be able to push down mid. And look at that. He took the tier 2. He almost took down the tier 3 tower. He forced NP heroes back. Yeah, okay. He actually finished up entirely. So, huge amount of gold going into the hands of...
Lurka, you're a flower. Look at that title.
Well done. Well done. You know, the first time that Lurka did stats for me, and it was like one of the first times she did stats in general, she did a similar quote. It was something like, beginning to feel like a bash god or something like that with Spirit Breaker. It made me chuckle then. It made me chuckle now.
Thanks, Lurka. Alright, now Eternal Envy can be picking up that Diffusal, so the Manta Diffusal is online. EHOME, they're getting some serious momentum onto their Morphling, who looks to be going for a similar strategy. Fallen into the dire jungle, looking for the tier 2, but this time NP might be able to secure a full lane of bottom racks. Pugna has the Axe, so the drain is going to be pretty scary now, but I don't think NP are feeling ultra frightened.
Yeah, they really shouldn't. Who cares if the Aegis is down? Again, EHOME are just trying to buy more time for Sylar to be able to pull as much gold out of the map.
Oh, moving forward, AUI is able to get that some double edge. He's doing what he can, trying to clear up his team, but it feels like Phoenix is just not having a great role this time. Looks like the Static Storm does end up finishing off some heroes, and MSS is moving forward. Serious damage coming out of him. There will be Disruptor getting low, eventually burst down. The Chaotic Offering drops
Supernova.
in. Get off the lasso. Can that Rider actually do enough damage here? Okay, that's not going to be a full wipe. The rest of NP trying to retreat now. Old Lana burning down, getting low. Old 11 going to be moving in, but the Morphling moved in. They actually kill off the Centaur here. They're focusing down the Juggernaut now, looking for something. They're going to be tracking out some more track kills. Shuriken bouncing around. Eternal Envy now running for his life. Should be able to get away, but Morphling moving forward. Manta is going to be trying to save him for now. He popped up the healing ward. Is this going to be enough? NP, he is now in danger for one of the first times this game. This kill would be super valuable for EHOME, and they get it. That's a track kill on top. Sylar on a killing spree. All of a sudden, feels like he just woke up from a long sleep, and look at that. The damage dumped out. Double kill. Everyone falling in that engage. NP. Is this the beginning of the turnaround?
It absolutely is. That was a gigantic swing, right? Those were like, that was a heavy commitment for EHOME, but they got the gold on Sylar that they desperately needed, right? They are still in a very dangerous scenario, but honestly, if you look back 10 minutes ago, they had such a small, narrow path that they had to take in order to just have a chance at a comeback. And they went through that narrow path, right? They stalled up at the top lane, but they didn't actually take that. How many other teams would go ahead and concede a lane of Rax in exchange for Sylar getting space to push? But that's absolutely the right play. They stayed calm and said, okay, this is what we need to do to have a chance at winning. And now they just managed to hold bottom lane. They committed 3 buybacks, but they got a crap ton of track kills and a ton of experience out of that. Look at it. The experience is almost even again, solely because of that 1-by-1 pickoff that they managed to do, getting all of those heroes from NP. NP still have some pretty good control of this game. Part of that is because of the fact that they're not too pressed for time. They're going to be able to go for another offense here pretty soon because they took the first Roshan so early. That's the magic of some Ursa and Drow Ranger strategies, is that they take Roshan so quickly that all of a sudden you're going high ground with the second Aegis in the game by 28 minutes. You know, so that's what NP, they're going to be their next time. I'm not sure if you want to push again without that Aegis, but I'm not sure if you want to give Sylar 3 more minutes of split power. You know, it's a tough juggle.
Back to all those track kills and everything, most of the money in that fight went to Sylar. Like, he is now beefing up. We talked about the potential for that, especially amplified by the Bounty Hunter. There's going to be a smoke in. NP looking for a catch. Catching Sylar here could be phenomenal, but he does have the replicate. He's anticipating something going down.
Yeah, 18 to 8 NP. I honestly think that if they chose to like 5-man push bottom lane and they lost that fight, I think they just lose the game outright from there. They cannot afford another fight, even if it does cost them buyback.
They're going in. They might kind of Phoenix, but not exactly the target they would have loved. The Morphling, obviously much higher on their priority list, and Sylar, he's just waiting it out. He'll pop back to his replicate eventually.
I don't think EHOME are going to be able to contest Roshan, so the best thing they can do is try and get the lanes heavily split pushed out and see if Sylar can take, you know, maybe a range tracks or even just a tier 3 in exchange for NP being able to pick up that second Aegis, and then that'll be probably the toughest fight from there for EHOME to try and defend again. Again, we still have to talk about the fact of where NP are going to be able to scale. We brought up all the hand of minuses that they picked up early. We brought up the fact that Juggernaut is not going to be a terrible hero versus Morphling. He can still output a lot of physical damage. He can do some mana burn. NP will not drop off immediately, but you never wanted to give EHOME the chance to be able to come back into this game through a Sylar Morphling. He's now got a Diffusal Blade, so now you can't rely on the repel. He can go ahead and shotgun whoever he wants. Omni-Knight thinks, oh, I'm going to be able to keep myself alive. I'll repel myself and we'll guarantee have a Guardian Angel. But all of a sudden, Sylar's going to come in. Boop, there goes your repel. Boop, you get shotgunned and maybe he just outright dies from that. That is the danger. That is a possibility. It's not like NP can't win against that. But 10 minutes ago, you almost had a guaranteed win in your hands, right? They look so good. They look so strong versus EHOME. Like, how could EHOME possibly defend? Well, their secret was they didn't.
Yeah, this is definitely getting tense here. The bounty going to be ignored by Lanham, not wanting to reveal himself to 1437, who can easily punish that. There's the Gem of True Sight on the Warlock, so things are going to get a little bit more difficult for this bounty hunter, who's already had a tough game. But again, like we saw in that last team fight, as long as he's there putting out frags, scaling up the farm of the Morphling, he has done his job.
Alright, let's see. Are they going to be able to, first of all, no Roshan's happening. They've got one ward by that Roshan hit that was recently placed. Doesn't quite see into the entrance, or maybe they haven't seen it. And even if they did know, would they feel comfortable contesting? They don't have the worst heroes in the game. It's just they don't beat NP in an outright 5 versus 5. But if they get really clutch initiation with that right, or if they get a supernova on the cliff, it's possible to win this one.
The problem with the team fight duration, that there's Greaves on the Omni-Knight as well. There's going to be healing wards up from the Juggernaut. They've got just so much sustain from NP that even if EHOME get that perfect initiation, NP says, alright, you got one of our heroes, let's turn this back around and keep fighting. So EHOME opts not to complete their smoke gig, instead just moving Sylar up into the top lane, keeping that split push up, and NP, well, they're just going to go back and work on their next round of items as well.
I think every Dota player knows that feeling when you smoke up to try and contest Roshan and you're getting close and all of a sudden you hear the boom, Roshan's dead, you see the pop-up, Aegis Immortal picked up by X-Carry, and it's like the emergency brakes go on. You're like, oh, hold on, guys, that is not a fight we want to take anymore. They already have the Aegis. Time to back up.
Oh, looks like Sylar getting real aggressive here, immediately hopping back to that replicate just in time as the rest of NP was waiting in the jungle.
So you have a BKB for Eternal Envy, so you don't have to worry about him. Helpful, still does a really good amount of physical damage. You've got Guardian Greaves. on MSS, even the Warlock, right? It's important for these supports to be able to stay alive through these engagements. Even the Warlock is picking up a Hooded Defiance, and I would not be surprised at all
It's a
if
full
that
pipe.
had turned into a second pipe.
Yeah,
Is
it's
that what he
flying
has?
in right now.
All right, cool. So then you just Disruptor. He got a Rod of Atos, which is a pretty cool idea. It helps you be able to pop Lincolns and gets you a little bit more chasing power. But I feel like he could kind of use a Glimmer Cape to make sure he doesn't get shotgun down. But I presume his positioning is going to be the furthest back, right? He wants to be able to get a good Static Storm off on that Morphling, because Morphling usually doesn't build a BKB, so that AoE silence is super effective. But he needs to make sure he's not shotgun down.
Alright, looks like the fight's gonna be breaking out. Tyler going for a similar strategy, ignoring his racks, going in instead for the enemy rack. We'll see if NP is gonna be forced back in this. Looks like they're content fighting this out with Netherworld, doing a fair amount of damage, but they'll get the kill onto the Bounty Hunter. No buyback for him, so track gold's gonna be irrelevant in this fight. Now Morphling does rejoin the fight down bottom, cannot finish off the full lane of racks, but they are able to get the Batrider drag back up. Guardian Angel buying some time. 1437 still getting low. The Guardian Greaves gonna be doing their job, and there we go. Static Storm into the Chaotic Offering. Morphling is going to be silenced up. Can they get him down? They aren't able to do so. Morphling immediately buys back, but these racks are going to be falling. The backdoor protection enacted. SBC could be in some trouble, but AUI comes in to defend his teammate, and they find that kill as well. 3 buybacks now on the field. EHOME doing what they can to get back in this. EE taking a little bit of damage, but it's not bugging him too much. The rest of NP, spare the Warlock, are just going to retreat safely.
So they lost to range racks and mid. If only that situation went a little bit better for them. Maybe if the egg was blown earlier and it disrupts the fact that they're trying to go on the Warlock during Static Storm. I'm not sure how to paint that team fight better for EHOME, where they don't have to blow all those buybacks. But that was close to them being able to hold and get a ranged racks. At least they keep their melee racks alive, and it's going to be able to regen up and maybe just, I don't even think they're, let's see, 2 minutes for Aegis, and you've got how many seconds left on Chaotic Offering? 100 seconds. NP can probably still push with Aegis.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to try, but the problem is EHOME, they can keep doing that. They can keep having Xalar make a replicate, push up, maybe next time he finishes off melee or starts focusing down top, and then goes back in.
But they can't keep buying back, right? That's
That's
the
true.
real dangerous part. If they had like stalled up so much that NP wouldn't be able to go for another push off the Aegis, maybe they would feel comfortable with that, and they could they would try and wait for Roshan number 3, and then EHOME have the time to get their buybacks back in fold. But now NP are just one team fight away from finishing off the game. They're so close to it. EHOME have done something very impressive here. They've given themselves what I thought was maybe a 5% chance to be able to win this game, to a 10%, to a 15% by doing certain sacrificial plays, making the right split pushes, and then defending at the right times. But ultimately, NP have always had a good amount of control of this game, and this is where it reaches its peak. If EHOME can hold one more time, then they'll get a really big jump up again. They'll get this really massive jump where they actually have a pretty good shot being able to win this game, like closer to 50-50.
It's all coming down to it. Roshan still a decent amount of time there, and well, AUI just going in, keeps getting that track purged off him, and well, they gotta wait till this backdoor protection goes down. No matter how hard Centaur hits, it's not gonna be super impactful. It's actually moving forward, blocked by the skill. They might be able to find old 11 here. There is gonna be a lasso coming in. Looks like he's gonna get dragged up.
Off the Fountain.
The Fountain is able to run away. That was almost detrimental for AUI, but it looks like he's gonna be alright. He's getting slowed down. He's fiddled up. He's in some trouble. Guardian Angel coming in, and they're trying to return old 11 BKB'd up, but on the back line, he will be able to fly away. Eternal Envy getting drained down. The Guardian Angel will come to an end now. Looks like that Shuriken bouncing around. It does a decent amount of work, but everyone on NP still healthy. Again, their sustain in these team fights is phenomenal with all their healing spells.
Yeah, but they blew Omni Slash in that fight. I don't think that NP can go high ground again. So again, it just comes back down to they may have to wait for the next Roshan. In which case, if they wait for the next Roshan, EHOME have enough time for their buybacks to come online, for them to be able to get more gold out of the map, for them to have buybacks in the first place. EHOME just bought themselves more time, right? They did it again. I'm not sure exactly how that Omni Slash got disjointed or whatever. Maybe had a bad bounce to the creep wave. Seemed like it died pretty quickly and didn't output a whole lot of damage. But either way, it was an ineffective ultimate, whether through luck or good play by EHOME, and that just means they probably can't go high ground. They're going to try, though. They're actually going to. 60 seconds left on Omni Slash, but they're still going to try and surprise EHOME.
It's really dangerous here. Really, the Chaotic Offering is the only big team fight spell they've got to offer.
And
Yeah,
Static
they've got
Storm.
the Static Storm, but again, that is situational and getting a really important target lockdown. looks like AUI going in. Oh, the stop not going to connect onto Old 11. This Nether Ward actually doing a fair amount of damage. Eternal Envy is able to clean it up. Swings back onto Old 11, but maybe a bit of miscommunication if NP are not ready to receive him.
Man, how many times? I want to know, like, how much damage they've done to this melee Rax. Because I keep seeing it, you know, the first time they did that push, it went down to like 400 health or something, and it regened all the way back up. This time, and then some of these other pushes, maybe half health, regens up. Like, they've done enough probably to kill this Rax 3 times over, but they haven't actually done it in one go. Right? Every single time they've been pushed away by EHOME, just in the nick of time to be able to prevent that big second wave push, right? Because then you would have the top, both the side lanes would always be pushing in with super creeps, and then you just have to focus on that one last team fight. You'd have really good control of the map at that point. Like, NP would be in a great position where they could just play a little bit more of a timed game than they want to right now, just because one lane of Rax.
They've got a gem here. I don't think this is going to be too difficult to take out the bounty, and he does not have buyback. EHOME lose a pretty critical point of their team fight momentum there.
Yeah, it's not a hero that is going to be able to be super impactful in team fights necessarily, but what it does is reward EHOME if they can make that defense and if they start getting those kills to just rack up and track gold and get the comeback. We'll see if EHOME can hold again, but I'm beginning to think they bought themselves maybe enough time that maybe another sacrificial play and just let Sylar go for the split push here is the better option. Maybe don't try and hold.
They're going to have to try because these Racks may finally be finished off and they're getting drained again. Pudge Ag was not something to be too wary of. Another one doing some work.
Nice blow up.
Picking off the Pudge that does have buyback. These Racks will end up falling. One more chop and they might end up going down. There we go. Batrider gets a successful lasso, but he comes back into the front of this. Chaotic Offering drops. Meanwhile, you have AUI rotating back to try to go against Sylar. The rest of NP are able to rotate out without any picks.
Yeah, they had another minute and a half for the buyback on Sylar, so I'm okay with them giving up that lane of Rax. It sucks, but I think it's just what they had to do, considering they didn't have that ability.
Roche now,
it looks like.
Back up right as NP move into the pit. That is just perfectly timed for them.
Real good time.
They're not going to check it out
But
instead.
at the same time, you'll have a buyback soon for this Morphling. He's got some big stat items.
Yeah, just picking up the Manta with another 2,000 gold on top of it in the last couple of minutes.
I still think EHOME maybe have like a 70% chance to win this game, but...
EHOME?
Or, excuse me, NP, sorry.
Man, that's optimistic, man.
Yeah. I still think that NP have better control of this game. They're still going to be able to close this out within the next, 5 to 10 minutes with the next Roshan Aegis, all that sort of thing. It's hard for Morphling to be able to carry a game almost 1 versus 5, right? That's what you're asking him to do because this Pugna is beginning to drop off a bit. The Batrider can only do so much for you. He gets initiation, but he's not dealing a whole lot of damage out. The Phoenix, well, his damage is okay, I guess, with the percentage base, but it's more about the Supernova and that AoE stun that he's trying to output. Bounty Hunter doesn't really do much at all when it comes to gives you some vision. Maybe, if you're lucky, a really good Shuriken bounce does some work, but for the most part, it is all on the back of Sylar. And even if EHOME have managed to push the blade and have given themselves a shot of being able to do it, it still comes down to the fact that NP are operating with a full 5-man team that is able to all do a little something in these team fights. They all have goals to work with. Meanwhile, EHOME's just like, Sylar, do it for us, man. We bought you some time. See if you can carry in the final edges of this game 40 minutes in against an NP with Aegis and Cheese.
Sylar has done some ridiculous stuff before, but this may just be asking too much of him. He is going to be trying to go in with his team to at least rat out some of this top lane, but they might not be able to find structures. And again, Envy moving forward, they don't have the gem on the jug, so they're not able to find Lanham here, but still, EHOME very much on their toes.
We have Lotus Orb on a Disruptor, so he could actually bounce back the drain from the Pugna, potentially bounce back the shotgun. Oh! That's such a big kill, but he needs to be able to claim it now to blink away. Eternal Envy jukes him.
Very well played by Eternal Envy. The healing ward immediately popped out. He uses that little last bit of Ethereal Blade to at least respond the best he can, and he gets off the blink away, and that's enough to save his life.
Yeah, like if I was him, I would have probably panicked BKB, taken away that Ethereal State, and been right-clicked down by the Morphling towards that tail edge of it. But he keeps pretty calm. He manages to survive through that, keeps his Aegis intact. EHOME have to find those kind of like openings, right? They need to be able to take away every advantage they can away from NP before they go for this high ground push. AUI has a Basher.
Why not, man? That's not AUI, is it?
I think he's legitimately going to get an Abyssal Blade at some point.
Alrighty. I mean,
He's got the Vanguard, right? He didn't turn it into a Critical.
I thought that was heading to Jug. Alright, it's Centaurs.
He's got an initiation form that is not just Stomp.
I mean, he's been really, really great at going into these high ground initiations, blinking in, finding an easy target, and double-edging them, but it seems like now his damage isn't quite cutting it if EHOME are taking up, so the Abyssal is going to help keep him locked down for long enough.
Look at it. Lotus Orb, repelled,
He is
standing in front of the
scared
tier
of
3,
nothing
and
right
he's
there.
like, I am going to return kill your tower. The most
Look,
miserable
it's doing it,
position
it's going
ever.
down.
That's what
Alright.
Centaur does.
Oh, okay.
That's what
absurd.
Centaur does. Fortunately for EHOME, Raxus don't attack, so Centaur can't do it all with return.
I mean, he's got to get some serious style points there. I was getting some hate from saying styling too much yesterday, but that's styling.
Nah, that is styling indeed. You know what the best play is, Annie?
Hmm?
The best feeling when you're Centaur and you take down both tier 4s with return.
Oh, God. That's getting dirty here. These racks take some damage. They want to go in onto Slark. Foot Stomp's going to be off the mark. Lincoln top. Slark moves forward. He's going to be trying to initiate onto our Disruptor, but Glimmer Cape away. Now there is some serious damage coming in onto AUI. It's a blink forward, but look at that. Batrider not going to fish his wits there. Really nice egg, but easily focused down by NP, and they're able to get a free on top for Northling. Not long for this world. But Disney comes out. Game number 1 going to NP versus what appears to be one of the stronger teams in this tournament. Oh boy, Cap.
NP just has that game on lock the whole entire time. Like it's hard to be able to, like, as a procaster, sit back here and be like, oh, you know, like at 15 minutes be like, yeah, NP have a 95% chance to win this game, and that's all there is to it, right? But that's simply what they set themselves up with the draft. I think NP drafted beautifully. They played the laning phase really well. They got those pickoffs right at top lane.